Some heroes don't wear badges. They don't speak, but they show up when hope is running out. This is the story of a dying boy and the retired K9 who refused to let go. Like this video if you believe in second chances. Share it with someone who's been saved by a silent companion. Comment if a dog has ever changed your life. And subscribe for more powerful true stories that prove the strongest medicine sometimes has 4 legs. The hospital room smelled like disinfectant and wilted daisies. Machines beeped in steady rhythms, counting seconds that felt like hours. 5-year-old Noah lay motionless in his bed, a tangle of wires snaking from his chest and arms, a tired teddy bear tucked under one pale elbow. Noah had been fighting leukemia for most of his young life. Lately, the fight had gone quiet. He stopped speaking, stopped smiling. Even his parents whispered now, as if loud words might shatter what little strength he had left. Doctors did what they could. Chemotherapy, transfusions, endless scans. But nothing seemed to bring Noah back. Until one morning, a low growl echoed down the hallway. Not a warning, but something older, something alive, something waiting. And when the door creaked open, a retired police dog named Ekko stepped inside. Ekko wasn't just any dog. He was a German shepherd with a sharp gaze and a jagged scar along his side, a silent reminder of the years he spent on the force. He'd once chased criminals through alleys, sniffed out explosives in crowded stations, and stood guard during long, dangerous nights. But one mission changed everything. A split-second mistake, an innocent man bitten, and the department retired Ekko permanently. Too dangerous, they said, too unpredictable. He was sent to a quiet farm on the city's edge, left to wander wide fields and chase shadows. The only one who didn't give up on him was Officer Jensen, his old partner, who visited Ekko every weekend with treats in his pocket and sorrow in his eyes. "He still listens like he's waiting for orders," Jensen would say, "but no one's giving them anymore." When Jensen heard about a hospital therapy program for children in palliative care, one that paired them with retired service animals, he thought of Ekko immediately. "They say this boy stopped speaking," the nurse explained. "Maybe Ekko's silence will speak louder than words." Noah was 5 years old. Short, wavy black hair curled softly above his ears. His skin was pale. He wore a faded navy blue hoodie with a little fire truck stitched on the chest, and gray pajama pants with white stars, one knee worn thin from crawling to the window to watch the ambulances come and go. He hadn't spoken in weeks. His doctors called it trauma-induced mutism, but his mom just called it heartbreak. When Ekko first padded into the hospital room, he didn't bark or make a sound. He simply stood in the doorway, head tilted, ears perked, tail still. Noah didn't move. Then Ekko stepped forward. One step, then another, and then something shifted. Noah sat up, just a little, his wide eyes locked on the dog's. Ekko lowered himself slowly, resting his head on the edge of Noah's bed, breathing slow and steady. Noah reached out. Tentative fingers brushed against Ekko's fur, soft, warm, real. He didn't speak, but that night, for the first time in days, he slept without crying. Over the next few days, Ekko returned again and again. He'd trot in with his brown leather collar glinting faintly in the morning light, his amber eyes scanning the room until they landed on Noah. Noah no longer hid under the covers. He waited, sometimes sitting up, sometimes smiling, just barely. The nurses noticed first. "His heart rate drops when the dog's in here," one whispered. The therapist noticed next. "He started drawing again," she told Noah's mom. But the biggest change came quietly. Noah had always loved crayons. But now every picture was the same. A big, strong dog with pointed ears, standing beside a little boy in a blue hoodie. One afternoon, Ekko brought a toy in his mouth, a battered stuffed rabbit from the therapy center's collection. He dropped it in Noah's lap and nudged it gently with his nose. Noah laughed. It was the tiniest sound, but to his mother, it was a symphony. By the end of the week, Noah sat at the edge of his bed while Ekko lay beneath it, his tail thumping gently every time the boy reached down to pet him. They didn't need words. They had something better. Trust. It happened on a Thursday morning. The hospital had planned a small event. Therapy dogs were being introduced to a few other children in the pediatric wing. Volunteers came, smiles wide and leashes in hand. Ekko wasn't on the list. He was technically retired, a guest, not a worker. But when one of the new dogs barked suddenly, Noah flinched. Hard. He curled up, covered his ears, and the world collapsed back into silence. That's when Ekko moved, without command, without hesitation. He padded over and pressed his body gently against Noah's side. No barking, no licking, just warmth and stillness. Noah's trembling slowed, his breath calmed, and slowly, he peeked out from behind his arms. He reached up, wrapped both hands around Ekko's neck, and whispered something no one could quite hear. But his mother cried, because it was the first time in weeks that he'd spoken at all. That moment changed everything. The staff updated Ekko's records. They began calling him what Noah had already known in his heart, therapy partner. From that day on, Ekko wasn't just a visitor. He was family. For a while, things looked up. Noah began to smile more. He whispered secrets to Ekko. Sometimes he even asked for his toy fire truck, pushing it across the bed while Ekko watched with curious eyes. The doctors adjusted his treatment. His vitals showed tiny improvements. His mother allowed herself to hope again. But then, the fever returned, fierce, unforgiving. Noah's body weakened. His appetite vanished. He stopped talking again, too tired even for whispers. And one morning, he refused to open his eyes, even when Ekko climbed beside him, nudging gently at his arm. There was no response. The nurses tried to comfort his mom. "It's normal for the illness to come in waves," they said. But she could see the fear in their eyes. That night, Ekko lay completely still at Noah's side. His head rested on Noah's chest. Every time Noah's breath hitched, Ekko's ears twitched. And outside the hospital room, the hallway was quiet. Too quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. At 3:12 a.m., the monitor flatlined, just for a second. Then another beat, then two. But the nurses were already in the room. His mom was awake, holding Noah's hand. "Stay with me," she whispered. Ekko wouldn't leave the bed. When the doctor came in and looked at the chart, he didn't speak at first, just pressed his lips together and gave a quiet nod. They all knew what it meant. Noah was fading. The room dimmed, as if the world itself couldn't bear the light. Ekko whimpered, then did something no one expected. He howled, a low, mournful sound that echoed down the corridors like a song of grief, like he was calling out to something beyond the walls, pleading for help. The nurses paused. Even the machines seemed to quiet. No one had ever heard a sound like that from a dog. And then Noah stirred, just barely. One finger twitched. His mother gasped. The nurse leaned in. The doctor turned back. Ekko stopped howling and lowered his head to Noah's chest. A faint heartbeat, still there, still fighting. But hope had never felt so fragile. It started with a flicker, a flutter beneath Noah's eyelids. Then, slowly, his eyes opened. Not fully, not brightly, but enough. "Mom," he whispered, his voice no louder than the hum of the IV pump. Tears burst from her eyes. She nodded furiously, pressing her forehead to his hand. "I'm here, baby. I'm right here." Noah's gaze drifted, not to the machines, not to the ceiling, but to Ekko. The German shepherd stood, tail wagging softly, ears forward, alert. He let out a quiet bark, then rested his chin on the side of Noah's bed. Noah smiled, small, weak, but real. The doctor returned in a rush, vitals improving, brain activity stabilizing, sedation reduced. "He's coming back," the doctor whispered, almost in disbelief. And then Noah lifted his hand, barely, but enough to rest it on Ekko's head. The nurses froze. One of them whispered, "I've never seen anything like this." Later that night, Noah asked for something for the first time in days. "Can Ekko sleep next to me?" His mother looked at the staff. They didn't even hesitate. A blanket was laid beside the bed. Ekko curled up right there, loyal, proud, and still. As Noah drifted to sleep again, he whispered, "Don't go." Ekko didn't. He wouldn't. Not until Noah was ready to stand on his own. The days that followed felt like spring thaw after a brutal winter. Slow, subtle, but unmistakable. Noah began to speak more, first to his mom, then to Ekko. He started to eat again, then sit up. Then, on a Tuesday morning filled with sunlight, he stood, shaky knees, IV still attached, heart monitor beeping like a metronome. But he stood. Ekko stood beside him, eyes locked, steady and calm. The physical therapist knelt beside Noah. "Do you want to try walking today?" Noah looked down at Ekko, then nodded. One step. Ekko moved with him. Another step. The staff held their breath. Noah made it across the room. His mom cried openly. Doctors clapped. And Ekko? Ekko barked once, sharp and proud. The story spread. A boy who found his strength through a dog's quiet presence, a canine once discarded, now a hero without fanfare. Photos of Noah walking with Ekko went viral. Local news came, then national outlets. But Noah didn't care about cameras or headlines. He cared about Ekko sleeping by his side, Ekko nudging him to keep moving, Ekko staying when everything else felt uncertain. One day, Noah asked, "When I leave here, can Ekko come with me?" The room went silent. His mom looked at the hospital staff, the doctor nodded, and a quiet voice from administration said, "He's not just a therapy dog anymore. He's family." When Noah was finally discharged, the hospital staff lined the hallways. Nurses held back tears. Doctors smiled like proud relatives. Even the janitor gave a thumbs up as Noah passed. He didn't leave in a wheelchair. He walked. IV gone. Monitors removed. One hand on Ekko's back, the other gripping his mother's. Outside, the air smelled of spring, fresh earth, sunlight on pavement, hope. At home, balloons hung from the door. A banner read, "Welcome home, Noah and Ekko." Neighbors gathered to clap and wave. Noah smiled shyly. Inside, Ekko explored every room. He sniffed the corners, checked the yard, and finally curled up beside Noah's bed, as if he'd always belonged there. The nightmares faded. Noah started laughing again. Ekko followed him to the park, to checkups, even to school. One day, Noah stood before his class for show and tell. He held up a drawing, himself and Ekko beneath a big oak tree. "This is Ekko," he said. "He's not just my dog. He's the reason I got better." Every kid clapped. His teacher wiped her eyes. At recess, Ekko sat on the edge of the playground, watching every step. Noah was never alone again. Years passed. Noah's body grew stronger, but more than that, his spirit did. The boy who once barely whispered now gave speeches at school assemblies about strength, about healing, about Ekko. They became local legends. The boy and the dog who wouldn't give up. One autumn, a ceremony was held at the town square. A bronze plaque was unveiled, a tribute to Ekko, the retired police dog who saved a life not with his teeth or training, but with his presence. Noah, now 12, placed a collar of sunflowers around Ekko's neck. In his speech he said, "When everything hurt, he stayed. When I wanted to give up, he didn't let me. Ekko didn't just help me heal, he helped me live." The crowd stood in silence. Then, applause erupted like a wave of gratitude. Ekko wagged his tail, ears perked, as if he understood. Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Noah and Ekko sat beneath their favorite tree. Noah rested his head on Ekko's side, heartbeat against heartbeat. The world had changed around them, but their bond remained unshakable. And though Ekko was no longer in uniform, he had never stopped being a hero. Not for a town, not for a badge, but for one little boy who just needed someone to stay.